everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to my YNR chat for Sunday, February 27th. Well, this week started out with the big blowout news that Nick had decided to switch sides of the table and join his sisters in their lawsuit against Victor. And I have to tell you guys, I was disappointed in Nick. I have been feeling Nick lately, and this week he ruined it for me. I was very disappointed in him because the truth is he's joining this lawsuit because he's pissed at his dad. I mean, over, number one, because of Diane, okay, and number two, because of Sharon. It has nothing to do with the fact that Nick had some huge realization that his father mismanaged his trust fund, and it had everything to do with control. And frankly, I'm just coming to the realization that every single one of these Newmans, right down to the very last one of them, they are control freaks. And they get it from their father. I mean, he is the ultimate control freak, and they are just little control freak juniors. It is the truth. And that's all of this is. It's just a power struggle. And I feel like, above all, aside from Victor himself, I feel like Victoria is the worst. She really is. I mean, she is greedy. She wants control of beauty of nature so that she can have a little hobby for herself, something to occupy her time now that she's not working. And more than anything, I think she wants it just so that she can take something away from Victor. It's very selfish, it's very greedy, and Victoria has just not been painted in a very flattering light this week. I feel like throughout all of this, she is the one that has come out just looking like a monster because she is totally against everything that Victor stands for, yet she's exactly like him. She would turn her back on Abby or anybody else in a second. This is all about her. This is about control for her. And Abby was the one who initiated this lawsuit from the beginning, yet in the end, she was the one that started making the most sense. I had total hope this week that she and Victor would reunite, and it was nice to see that little moment of them coming together, whether or not it was real, whether or not it was strategy. I just thought it was nice to see them coming together again, especially on the anniversary of Brad's death. Moment of silence for Brad. Really, truly, it was nice to see that moment of them coming together, especially when Abby would have pulled out of this lawsuit months ago. Months ago. She was flip-flopping on it a long time ago. If it weren't for Victoria manipulating her to stay in. Victoria has strung her along this entire way, and now for Abby, it's literally like out of the frying pan and into the fire, because she ultimately has either Victor or Victoria gonna be calling the shots for her. Take your pick, Abby. It's one or the other. This is the thing that kills me about it most of all. All of these Newman children here, Abby, Nick, Victoria, they all claim that this lawsuit is about them gaining independence from their father. Well, you know what? Independence means building something for yourself and gaining independence because you worked for it on your own, not stealing it away from somebody else. I don't think any of these people have any concept of what true independence really is. They've been handed everything since they were children. So much so that they have no concept of reality. Like Victor said this week, you guys have never had to go hungry a day in your life. And much less not get what you want at any given time. They've always had access to anything they wanted at any given time that formed who they are. and now they want to turn around and bite the hand that feeds them. And that just bugs me. I feel like they're just typical spoiled rich kids. It's very distasteful, I think. I feel that Victoria and Nick and Abby, I'm sad to lump Nick in here because I feel like he was doing good up until this week when he just did the 360. He wanted revenge. But I feel like all of these people don't even have a clue about how their actions affect other people. We got to see it this week a little bit more close up, thinking about the job losses that are going to come as a result of the lawsuit, and on top of the job losses that have already happened. Victor screaming at Nick in his office about how he is destroying the company, that Victor would be forced to take Newman Enterprises public, destroying this company that he built. And in fact, one of the Newman children called it, the actual first Newman child, Newman Enterprises, and how Victor would have to destroy that as a result of these children and their selfishness, and not to mention what all of this tension is doing to Nikki. Nobody's even hardly thinking of Nikki here. Nikki made several pleas this week. Everybody did, to try to get this whole thing to go away, and nobody was listening at all. It's unbelievable how stubborn all of these people are. It's sickening. It's sickening, and that's why I was thrilled. Thrilled to see Adam walking right in and throwing a wrench right into Victoria and Abby and Nick's perfect little plan. It was beautiful. Thank you, Victor, for thinking of it. Plus, now this is gonna get Sharon off the hook for Skye's murder. Hooray! Although I don't really know, I didn't really quite hear Victor explain how he's gonna get Sharon off of this murder charge. I guess he's just gonna go and confess, and there wasn't very much focus put on what's gonna happen to him as a result of that. I hope Victor doesn't just go back on his word. That would be very Victor-like, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that doesn't happen, because if Adam gets probation for this forgery and fraud, and then, on the opposite end, if Victor gets probation for not coming forward in Sharon's case, I'm telling you, that would be fine with me. That would be fine with me to make all of this go away, because I have hated this lawsuit since day one, since when it was just Abby. I hated it then, I hated it when Victoria joined, I hated it when Nick joined. I hate this lawsuit, and I want it to go away. And also, I'm ready for Sharon's court case to go away. We all know she's not gonna go to jail, so let's just get it over with, rip off the Band-Aid, do what we gotta do to get her out of the fire. I'm just ready for it all to go away. And honestly, at this point, I would love to see Adam and Sharon get set up with awesome jobs at Newman Enterprises, leaving Abby and Victoria and Nick washing Newman Enterprises windows from the outside looking in forever. It's funny how Jack was the one who initiated this entire trust lawsuit with Abby forever ago, yet he was able to just quietly, ever so slyly, slip out of the car before it crashed head first into a tree. That's just how he is. That's very Jack. And now it looks like Abby's gonna end up with nothing at the end of the day. And if Ashley finds out next week that Jack was behind that from the very beginning, he's gonna be in big trouble. Ashley's been suspicious of him for a long time about that, and it kind of looks like next week she might find out. So Jack's gonna be in trouble. Jack's always in trouble. So Phyllis and Jack kind of got into an argument this week. Jack was upset with Phyllis because she ran right to Nick and showed him the videotape of Victor, and it ticked Jack off because he wanted to keep that information a secret so that he could get back at Victor. But in turn, Nick ended up spilling the beans to the great man, and then all of this, Jack's plan was kind of blown up. You know, the secret's out in the open. So Jack was really upset about it. And Phyllis explained to him that, you know, I did this for my daughter. You know, this doesn't have any, you know, there are things that are more important than your feud with Victor. She gets all upset. Actually, I mean, Jack kind of like grabbed her at the coffee house. It was a little bit shocking with how forceful he was with her. And he grabbed her, and they had this argument, and then Phyllis left. She left the coffee house. She goes to Glowworm to get a drink. And who's sitting at the bar? Nick. And Nick is in a real dark place. Dark, dark, dark place. Because, gee, if sticking it to Victor was supposed to make him feel so good, then why in the hell, Nick, are you so sad? Is it because it's gnawing at you that maybe you didn't do the right thing? Very upset with Nick this week. Well, Phyllis, she's sitting next to him. She tries to pull him out of it. You know, she tries to, you know, talk about things, and, you know, Nick is just not having it. I mean, he will at least entertain the, you know, whoever's next to him, but really truly he was kind of mean to her this time. I mean, he blew her off completely, and Phyllis is like stunned because Nick isn't usually like that. It's almost like we're seeing a totally different Nick. He said at the beginning of the week, you know, everybody calls my father ruthless. Well, wait until you see what you get from me. And it really is kind of starting to feel like this whole new dark, dark, dark Nick. And so Phyllis is stunned that Nick is talking to her like this, and so she just gets out of the room. She like staggers out the back door. She's gonna take a breather outside, goes out into the loading dock. Nick follows her, and they had a very strange, naughty, torrid, almost moment that I was surprised to see. I was like, is this happening, or what's going on here? Phyllis, like, Nick comes out to apologize because he's been a jerk. Phyllis is still very angry. She tries to walk away from Nick, and he grabs her, and they get real close. Like, he kind of pulls her back, and they're like really close up in each other's faces. And there's this moment of longing there, like, we could totally have dumpster sex right now and nobody would know about it. It was like, it was torrid and intense. But Phyllis, and I was very, very proud of her for this, she put on the brakes. She said, no, 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 this is not for me. And she stopped it because it was totally doable. She could have had him, and nobody would have ever known about it. And for as long as Phyllis struggled to hold on to Nick, long after their relationship was over, she had this opportunity here to have him again once more. And again, nobody would have ever known about it except for me and you. Nobody else in Genoa City ever would have known. Yet Phyllis recognized that this was totally wrong for her. It would have been totally wrong. And she looked right at Nick and just said, this is bad. And then backed off. And it was very cool. I was very proud of her. I just thought it was a really great moment for this new and improved Phyllis, because Nick threw away his relationship with Phyllis like it was nothing because he wanted Sharon. And then Sharon turned around and betrayed him. She totally betrayed him, and now Nick is left with no one. And it really does pain me to say it, but at least where Phyllis is concerned, I'd say that Nick got exactly what he deserved. Well, why raise your own children when you can pay someone else to do it? I mean, come on. There was this funny little sequence this week where Billy is interviewing nannies for Lucy and Delia, and he interviews the fangirl, and he interviews the slutty girl, and he interviews the stern older lady who like loves corporal punishment. It was funny. It was a funny little sequence. The only one that he didn't interview was like Mrs. Doubtfire. What if Daniel dressed up as a lady in order to get access, full-time access to Lucy? It would be like the exact same storyline as Mrs. Doubtfire. Daniel just shows up in a powdery wig. Hello! That'd be so funny. Aw, Daniel. Poor Daniel in his ponytail. I feel sorry for the poor guy. He's having a hard time. I think he's doing the right thing for his daughter. What do you think? Do you guys count it against Daniel that he's, you know, not fessing up to the truth? Because it could be seen as a totally low-life thing to do. I think he is doing the right thing. He doesn't seem like he's in a place where he could raise the child, so why not let her be raised by, you know, a really great family who loves her? I just know that he's going to turn around and try to break open this truth soon down the road. I mean, even if it sits latent for a couple of years, he's going to end up busting out the truth sooner or later. But in the meantime, I'm glad that he at least has Lily to talk about it. I'm enjoying their friendship, and Daniel needs to get these things off of his chest. You know, he's got a lot of worries right now. Hey, there's no need to worry about Lucy's safety because her new nanny is just a convicted felon with a history of brain tumors and mental disorder. What's to worry about? Oh, just because last week Jana couldn't remember the whole last year of her life, that's no reason that she shouldn't be qualified to watch over an infant child. Jana just gets a lot of leeway, I think. You know what, I don't even care. I'm just glad that Jana is out of Kevin's apartment because it was just getting too awkward. Just too awkward and pathetic, and I'm just glad that she's gone. My only concern is that, oh man, Jana really hates Chloe, and I'm nervous that Jana, being as unstable as she is, I mean, let's not forget this is the woman who called CPS on Chloe. I'm concerned that Jana's gonna do something to Delia. Not violent necessarily, but something maybe to mess with her little mind, to get back at Chloe. I can just see it happening, and I hope that that's not the road that we're headed down. That would be very sad and creepy. And, Chloe she just does not get along with other women. Maybe Chloe really could have approached this whole situation so much better, but she doesn't get along with other women. She and Jana bickered this week. She and Heather bickered this week. It's just, Chloe just needs a good girlfriend. She needs somebody she can actually get along with. Of course, that used to be Kevin. You know, I said last week that I'm starting to have a new perspective on Kevin and Chloe. I was all gung-ho for it, as you know, and now I am just seeing it in a different way, in a little bit of a different light, because Chloe just doesn't seem to have the hots for Kevin. I mean, Kevin is all on her like jam on toast. she's just, I'm not feeling it as much from her end since Chance has come back into the picture, and it's just making Kevin look pathetic in a Jana sort of way, and that's difficult. I don't want to see Kevin looking like a fool, and I just, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting now. So, if Chloe is so over Chance, then why does she keep showing up in his bedroom? If her life was so much better when he was dead, which is what she told him this week, then why doesn't she just move on instead of showing up? I mean, really? Chloe, I just feel like Chloe is bringing a lot of this stuff onto herself. This week she flashed back to the time when she and Chance went to New York for a romantic weekend and Chance proposed to her. And in the cab, in traffic, and it just reminded me that Chloe loved Chance. We all know that Chloe loved Chance, but she hemmed and hawed over that relationship too, remember? I mean, she told him no, she wasn't going to marry him, and then made it really awkward in that cab ride and like forced him to go back home to Genoa City right away. She didn't handle that at all well, and Chance was crushed. She hurt him. And I guess because he hurt her last, Chloe has made herself the victim in that relationship, but she hurt him too. He didn't do anything to deserve what she did to him, and in many ways that was that was the point where their relationship just stalled and it couldn't go any further. And I love Chloe. I really do. I mean, so many times I'm watching the screen and I'm just thinking she is wonderful, but I'm just starting to realize that she is the one that makes herself unlucky in love. It's not anybody else, it's her. She's creating these situations for herself. She keeps finding these good guys, and then she sabotages it. She finds a way to not be happy. She chewed out Chance this week for cheating on her, which of course was horrible, but the truth is, she put out his little light too. She did something bad to him too, and I don't know. Well, after Chloe basically told Chance that her life was easier when she thought he was dead, Chance just totally shut down. I mean, he decided to shut her out, and he decided to shut Heather out too, and that was the end of it. You know, he realized that before he died, he went around and he said these really nice things to Chloe and these really nice things to Heather, and I think he realized that, you know, giving them that level of hope ended up hurting them more than it helped them. And so this time he's just decided to do the complete opposite. You know, if he has to go back into the witness protection program, then he wants Heather and Chloe to just forget about him. If they can't have him, if he can't have, you know, one of them, whatever, then he just wants them to forget about him. So he was a complete jerk to them this week, and he was a real jerk. Well done, Chance. Acting like your brother. And my question is, more than anything, is when is this trial gonna happen? And will Ronan be there? I am so into Sophia right now. On Monday, she had this conversation with Lily, just telling her about how she lost her father at a very young age and how that made such a huge impression on her, and really kind of helping Lily to realize that she's not alone. No matter what, she's not alone. And Sophia just really opened up to her, and it was hard for her to talk about that, but she did it, and I'm loving it. I feel like Lily needs a good female friend right now, and I just felt like she and Sophia had a really nice dynamic. I totally enjoyed it. I mean, Lily really needs a friend, because she is hearing Kane's voice whispering on the wind. She's wandering outside in the cold, cold winter in her teeny tiny little white nightgown looking for him. Oh, I just wanted to throw a robe on the girl. By the way, when is Lily gonna find Kane's last letter to her? I mean, we don't really even know what's in it. It might be, you know, that Colin was his father. That could be the truth that frees Jill from Colin's clutches. We need to know. It's been like 3 weeks since Kane's died and only like 3 days in Y&R time. I need this to be revealed. So, I mean, come on, isn't it time for Lily to do a little light house cleaning and find the envelope that's on the floor behind the credenza? Every scene where Lily comes even a little bit close to that credenza, I'm like, ooh, 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 is she gonna find it? I'm just waiting. Anyway, back to Sophia. She totally opened up this week, and I totally appreciated it. It was really nice, and the actress just seemed so much more relaxed, don't you think? It just felt like she was like, you know, just so much more comfortable in her role, and it really shined through. Just total comfort on the set. Except for when she was making slow, passionate, awkward love to Neil. Hey, how about that? Oh my goodness. First of all, Kristoff St. John looks good. I'm gonna say it. He looks good. He has awesome arms. His biceps are like, it's outrageous. And his chest looks good. His stomach looks good. We saw Kristoff St. John shirtless this week, and I just want to be the first to say that I thought that it was very enjoyable. He really has a nice bod, and it was time. It was time for Neil to get laid. How long has it been, you guys? At least 2 years since Neil's gotten laid. And I've been just crying for Neil to come back into the fold, and this was a good way to do it. It's been awesome seeing him. And Neil and Sophia apparently have matching bicep tattoos. Did you guys notice that? They both have like a ring around their bicep tattoo. How perfect is that? Doesn't get any more perfect than that. Except that as comfortable as Sophia seemed in those scenes with Lily, it was like totally opposite in the lovemaking scene. Is it just me? Or did she seem very uncomfortable? It didn't seem right. Something about it. Like, the kiss seemed a little awkward. Like, I was back and forth, because at first I was like, no, well, maybe. I was very on the fence about the kiss, but the sex scene just really did feel awkward. It was like too many blankets. I mean, who has sex with blankets wrapped around their genitals? It just doesn't work that way. It was too much of that, and like, Sophia didn't seem into it. Like, Sophia was just sitting there letting Neil kiss up on her, and like, Neil was doing all the work. She just didn't even seem that into it. I don't know, maybe it's just me. That was my impression. And plus, Neil, couldn't you maybe, I don't know, take her into the bedroom instead of doing her on the couch? I'm surprised Malcolm didn't know the second that he walked in that those couch cushions were really messed up. Oh, Neil. I guess he made up for it by getting Sophia her job back. That was nice of him. He does care about her. Maybe it was just an awkward first time. I'm open to it. Although I really like Malcolm. I'm gonna say it, I really do like Malcolm. He's got a temper. But I like him. And I was glad to see Sophia get her job back this week. I love Tucker, by the way. Love Tucker. I'm always happy to see him. I think it's time we bring him back into the spotlight too. I think next week we'll get to see a little bit more of him. I'm just grateful that we got the Winters into the spotlight this week. That has been wonderful. I'm gonna feel pretty bad for Malcolm when he finds out about Sophia and Neil. It's gonna be sad for him. And the ultimate irony, you guys. Try this one on for a size. The ultimate irony would be if Sophia got pregnant with Neil's baby and then Malcolm had to raise that baby as if it were his own, never knowing that it was actually Neil's for like the next 20 years. Okay, well those are my thoughts about the show for this week. I also wanted to mention that I'm also watching The Amazing Race and Survivor. So feel free to leave me comments about Amazing Race and Survivor too. Amazing Race, I'm pulling for Jet and Cord. I was a major Jet and Cord fan the last time they were on, and I'm really hoping they can pull through. It doesn't look good for them. It doesn't look good, but I'm hoping that they pull it through. And Survivor, I love Boston Rob. I would love to see him win. It is as impossible as it probably is. I'm on Team Boston Rob for sure. So let me know if you guys are watching those shows. Let me know who you're pulling for. Or, more importantly, let me know what you think about this week's show. I'm so excited to read your comments, so type them down, leave me a message, let me know what you think about all of the drama. I'll be looking forward to reading them. Okay, well, that's it for me for now. I hope that you guys all have an awesome week, and I'll definitely see you next time. Okay, guys, bye!